Hey guys, welcome back to another video and welcome to my Valentine's Day special. Today I just want to go over 3 different categories of romance films, that being happy ending films, bittersweet endings, and sad endings. So stick around and let's dive into them. Hey guys, welcome back. Like I said, I just want to go over the 3 different categories of romance films that I pulled from my collection. But before I begin, I just want to throw up a slide here showing all the movies that I will be talking about. This is a warning if you have not seen any of these and you would like to without me kind of spoiling the ending. I would recommend stopping this video and go and checking out the films first. But with that out of the way, I will kind of just dive in. Now I had fun trying to break all of these films into 3 different categories. I figured that really there are only 3 categories within the romance genre. I could be mistaken in that. Let me know in the comments down below if you have another subcategory of a romance film. But I figured there's films with like a happy ending where the couple ends up together. There's the one where it's like a bittersweet ending where, they might not end up together, but they both achieve their goal within the film. Or there is the films where it's just a sad ending, where neither character, like their goal was to end up together and they do not. Obviously I am not going to be able to talk about every single romance film. I know there is a ton that I'm missing. There's a few that I've seen that I'm not even including in this video, but maybe next year I'll do a part 2 to this and kind of go over a bunch of other ones. But starting off, I just wanted to talk about the films that I feel like have a happy ending, where the couple ends up together and everything seems to work out for them. I also should add that I don't want to necessarily give a full review of these films. These are just going to be recommendations to check out this Valentine's Day season. And so I don't want to necessarily spoil the endings besides just saying how they end, whether it's a happy ending, a bittersweet ending, or a sad ending. But within the happy ending category, the first one I'm going to show, I guess, is the film About Time. This is a fun one where it has a lot to do with time travel, and I really enjoyed it. And so it's been a couple years since I have seen it, but I remember when I watched it, I really liked it, and it does indeed have a happy ending where the couple ends up together. The next one I want to talk about is the film The Big Sick. Now I've seen this movie maybe 3 times now. It's a true story, which is kind of fun. And it's just a very interesting film, and it just it feels really real, and so I would highly recommend checking this out if you have not seen it. And it does indeed have a happy ending where the couple ends up together. So the next one, this is one I watched twice now, and I've watched this actually the other night in preparation for this video. But this is the film A Case of You. Now, the only complaint I have about this film is on here it has all the cast, or some of the cast, as you can see here, with Peter Dinklage and Brendan Fraser. Now, the complaint I have with this is these 2 characters, Brendan Fraser and Peter Dinklage, are barely in the film. Honestly, it looked like maybe they had maybe 1 day of shooting. Brendan Fraser is only in 1 scene, and I feel like this movie was really trying to use their star power to make it more interesting. But in reality, it's I mean, it's a great movie, and it's fun, and I don't know, it's not like my absolute favorite romance film, but it is, honestly, it's a great movie. I really like Justin Long as an actor. I feel like he's just a little underrated, and you'll actually see him pop up at least once more in this video. But the next one I want to talk about, this is the film Crazy Stupid Love. Honestly, this is like I love this movie. I feel like it has a lot of fun, like interweaving plots and stuff, and I also just big Ryan Gosling fan, so of course he's in here. So but the next one, this is probably one that a lot of people have seen, and that is the film The Proposal. Honestly, it's kind of like a fun role reversal type of film. And I mean, Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock, great chemistry within the film, and just a fun film. This is another one I watched the other night in preparation for this film, and I honestly feel like this is kind of underrated. I feel like I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but I could be wrong in that. And that is the film Stuck in Love. Just a great, great movie. I really enjoy this one. Probably my favorite out of this first category, maybe. But it's kind of like, all these people's different, like this whole family and how they're all interacting with each other and just trying to find love. The next one I want to talk about is actually from 1927, and it's a silent black and white film, and that is the movie Sunrise. So this won the Academy Award of Most Unique and Artistic Production, which was pretty much the first and only award of its category. So this is like, in my opinion, this is kind of how Best Picture was. Between this and the movie Wings from 1927, I consider both of those to win Best Picture. But this was honestly I feel like it was a little bit of ahead of its time, where I don't know. It's a great love story. It kind of just shows a nice redemption arc, and I would highly recommend it. The next one is one that a lot of people don't think of Adam Sandler as a serious actor in the regards of outside of comedy. I think he proved that with the films Punch Drunk Love or Uncut Gems. But this is also one that I also kind of consider within his, outside of his typical, Happy Gilmore or, what is that, Big Daddy, or any of those other like, Adam Sandler classics, I guess. But that is the film Wedding Singer. Which I really enjoyed this. I feel like it's more of a serious role for him. It's early Adam Sandler. I forget what year this was. 1998. And I feel like it was actually, I don't know, it was really good. I really liked it. The next one, this is one that, again, you wouldn't necessarily think this actor to be in a romantic comedy, I guess. But that is with Daniel Radcliffe in it. And that is the film What If? And again, I watched this the other night too in preparation for this video, and I really enjoyed this one. I feel like it's there's a few parts of it that I feel like it's kind of iffy, but overall I really like this movie. And the last one within this the happy ending category is the film Your Name. Now this is a anime. It's one of the only anime films that I've actually really seen. I've seen only like a handful of anime, but this is one that I believe it's in, it's either dubbed in English or Japanese, and with English subtitles. But I really like this movie. I feel like it is a very interesting concept, and it kind of just shows the perspective of getting to know somebody, but as that person. It's kind of hard to explain, because essentially the characters wake up each day as each other, and so they kind of have to get to know each other's life, but being that person. So that is everything for the happy ending category. Now on to the bittersweet category. Now I'm a big fan of the bittersweet movies / sad ending movies. I don't know why. I always just feel like they have an interesting, like a more interesting story to tell. Of course, like, a good happy ending is great, but like a bittersweet ending is also fantastic if you can pull it off right. So the first one I wanted to talk about is the film Her. This is essentially a guy falling in love with like an artificial intelligence on his phone, and so he he gets to know this computer or this person, or essentially it is an artificial intelligence, and so he ends up having a relationship with it. But it's very interesting, and the music's also fantastic, but it kind of shows it in like a slightly futuristic society, where this is a normal thing. But I really enjoyed this movie. It has a bittersweet ending because he ends up finding a real life partner, but she, he has to basically let go of his previous relationship with this artificial intelligence, and so yeah, it's pretty good. I would highly recommend checking that out. The next one, this is probably, a lot of people have seen this, but that is the film La La Land. Now, This is all about a film all about achieving your dreams. And both characters in the movie, at the very end of it, they both basically are able to achieve their dreams, but they have to let go of each other to achieve those dreams. And so that's why I consider it to be bittersweet, is because they get to accomplish their goal that they set out at the beginning of the film, but unfortunately they have to let go of each other through that process. So beautifully shot. Honestly, it's just one of my top movies, I guess. And yeah, really, really fun. The next one is one that I feel like a lot of people haven't seen, but I feel like they should. And that is the film Like Crazy. This has to do with a lot with long distance relationships. The lead actress is like British college students, and she ends up falling in love with an American classmate, and so they kind of have to deal with the immigration process and just having to be apart. And so it has a bittersweet ending because you can tell by the end of the film that both characters have grown, but they might have grown in different ways. And so they end up together technically, but it's kind of like an ambiguous ending if they are truly happy together or not. So I'm a big fan of this movie. I feel like some of the sequences in it are fantastic, and overall I really, really just like it. But the next one this is kind of a longer movie that I really love the soundtrack to this movie, and I feel like it's one of those soundtracks that I can listen to over and over. But that is the film Meet Joe Black. Now, this movie is 3 hours long, so it is a little bit of a long one to watch, but I really enjoy this movie. I feel like it's different. It has like a unique feeling to it. Essentially, Brad Pitt, the character of that Brad Pitt is, he gets, at the very beginning of the film, he gets hit by a car and ends up passing away, and so he becomes death. And Anthony Hopkins knows that he is kind of like on, he's in his later part of his life, and he's going to be passing away soon. And so Brad Pitt comes to visit, and he basically becomes he kind of follows him around, and the character of Death wants to see what, being a human is like. And so with all of this, the daughter of Anthony Hopkins ends up falling in love with Brad Pitt's character, and Brad Pitt's character also falls in love with the daughter. And so it's kind of this weird dynamic where Death is experiencing love, and so he has to kind of, navigate that. But I consider it to be a bittersweet ending because at the very, very end of the film, Anthony Hopkins' character actually passes away, but Brad Pitt's character, he actually comes back from being hit by a car, and he's no longer Death. He's actually a human again. And so you kind of end up with the daughter and Brad Pitt's character end up being together. And so it's just a great film. I feel like it's kind of as I say, it's very unique and just fun, but I would highly recommend checking that out. Now, this one is probably going to be an obvious one for everybody, and everyone has seen this movie. Everyone knows how this movie ends, but that is the film The Notebook. And you can see why I would consider this to be a bittersweet ending, because the whole movie has to do with her remembering all of the events, remembering that they were in a relationship, that they were married, and the whole thing. And when he's reading the notebook to her, and at the very end of the film, she remembers, and they end up sleeping next to each other, kind of like holding each other, and end up both passing away at the exact same time. So it has this very bittersweet feeling to it, where that she remembers him, and he obviously he loves her, and so and that's when they are much, much older, and so that has to do with dementia and stuff too, I should mention. But the next one, this is again probably one a lot of people have seen, but that is the film The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So I remember watching this a lot in high school. I feel like I've seen this like 5 times now, but it's just one of those movies that is fantastic. Soundtrack's fantastic, acting's great, and just all in all, it's just a great movie. I would consider it to be a bittersweet ending because at the end of the movie, he kind of finds himself as a person. He kind of, he doesn't feel like a wallflower anymore, but he finds, friends, and he kind of, he kind of deals with some of the trauma that he had to go through in life, and so he kind of overcomes some of that stuff, and he becomes his own person, but he does not end up with the girl, unfortunately, at the end. So it has like this bittersweet feeling to it. But the next one is the film P.S. I Love You. This is one that it's fairly, I mean, it's pretty sad. But it has a interesting concept too, where a husband passes away, but he leaves his wife several letters, like letters to kind of give her this fun adventure for her to go on and kind of get over him, because he knew that it would be very hard for her to get over him. So he leaves all of these letters, and I believe it's his friend, I believe it's his best friend that kind of like helps her along with this too. And at the end of the film, you find out that the husband wanted her to end up with his best friend or brother. I want to say it was best friend. And so it has like a sad feeling to it, where there is no happy ending when somebody passes away. There is no like getting them back, and so but in reality, she kind of is able to overcome the sadness in a way, and kind of find love again along the way. And so I would highly recommend checking this out, especially if you're I would say if you're like in a very long committed relationship. I feel like this would probably play on the heartstrings a little harder. And the last one within this category I wanted to talk about is the film Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. Now, this is one that it's exactly what it sounds like. Essentially, a meteor is set to hit the Earth and basically end humanity. And the character of Steve Carell is just kind of like, kind of alone. I believe he was married, but then his wife wanted to run off and, do whatever else without him. But all of the people in the movie kind of just start doing their own thing, and they just kind of want to go and experience things. And, they're not interested in, finding love necessarily. They want to, people are stealing, people are just, trying things that they've never tried before. And so, the whole movie is kind of like Steve Carell's character just being very sad and lonely, and all he wants is just to have somebody to be with. And it has a bittersweet ending because, like, yes, Steve Carell and this girl end up becoming very close friends, and they are basically with each other right when the meteor is set to hit. And so I think like, a lesser movie would have just had the meteor just miss the Earth or something, but this movie actually, the meteor hits the Earth and it kills everyone. But it has a bittersweet ending because, that both of these characters were able to spend their last minutes together, and they felt happy and seen by each other. So that is everything for the bittersweet endings. Now, probably on to my favorite, subgenre of the romance films, and that is the sad ending genre. So the first one I wanted to talk about within this genre is the film 500 Days of Summer. Now, you probably could have considered this to be a bittersweet ending one. I probably should have put it in the bittersweet endings, but in a way, it's kind of, again, the characters kind of are able to achieve their goals within the story, but they do not end up together. But it kind of leaves a slight happier ending for Joseph Gordon-Lewis, where he kind of meets somebody that would be more along with what he needs in a partner. And I just feel like, it does have a bittersweet ending, but I kind of view it as a little bit more sad because the whole movie he is trying to end up with this one girl, but it just isn't working. And so this is honestly one of my favorite movies, and I've seen it countless times now, but I mean, throughout the whole film, you just can tell that they are not necessarily compatible, and so it's just kind of like a, not great, like not a fun watch to see them just him constantly trying to end up with somebody that is just not compatible, and he's trying to, be with somebody that he thinks that he's destined to be with just because, they might like the same music or stuff along those lines, and so. Yeah, I really relate to the character of this, and I really like this one. The next one I want to talk about is the film Annie Hall. Now, this is a Woody Allen film. This won Best Picture, actually, in 1977. So this came out the same year as the original Star Wars film. But this is one that I really like. I've watched this, again, countless times. I feel like this whole category, I can say I've watched countless times. But this is one that I really just enjoy. I feel like the dialogue is fantastic. But I love the style of it. I love that he kind of breaks the fourth wall several times throughout the whole movie, and it feels very Woody Allen, and so it kind of has a sad ending because the characters are kind of like, yeah, they're in a slightly better place at the end of the film, but they just don't end up together, and but they end up as friends, kind of, and so. I don't know. I just feel like it's a great film about relationships, and I would just highly recommend checking this out if you have not seen it. The next one I want to talk about is the film Atonement. Now, this is again one that I would consider to have a sad ending because essentially the sister of the main character basically does something or accuses of something, and it splits them up, and they are not able to actually see each other, and so the sister actually like unintentionally is the reason why the main character, the lead actor, is sent off to war, and he is essentially killed there. And so it is a sad ending because for the sister's selfishness, basically both the lead woman and the lead man are not able to end up together, and so it has some great cinematography in this movie and just great music. But I would highly recommend checking this out if you want a good one that is kind of more like a war romance-ish type of movie. Yeah, definitely a great film. The next one, this is another great one about just the hardships of a relationship, and so this is actually maybe the third time Ryan Gosling has popped up on this list, but that is the film Blue Valentine. So it's just, I feel like this movie is. It's sad. It has a lot of sad elements to it, and you're so rooting for this couple to make it through all of these hardships, but they just unfortunately don't. And so it just kind of ends like a lot of what real life relationships are, of just you just kind of end and you kind of have to go your separate ways. And so it has some great cinematography, and overall I really like this movie, but very sad. The next one. I've talked about this movie a ton on this channel and in live streams, and I think this is probably my fifth favorite movie of all time, if I'm counting right. But that is the film Comet. Now, this is one that I feel like is extremely underrated, but it, again, just kind of shows this couple and just trying to end up together, and they just don't. And the cinematography, the way that the story is told in general, where it kind of plays around with time, and it's that's probably the biggest thing I love about romance films, is when they play around with time and kind of just tell the story in not a conventional way. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend checking this out if you get a chance, and it's just fantastic. I feel like the cinematography, the music, everything about it, I really, really like. And so, yeah, it just has that great sad ending, but also it has Justin Long, which I mentioned earlier. The next one is actually a musical, which I believe is the only musical in this video, but that is the film The Last 5 Years. Now, again, this has to do with, the ups and downs of a relationship, the kind of like falling in love and falling out of love story. But again, it plays with time, and it's a not conventional way. But every song that Jeremy Jordan is singing is basically playing forward in time, and then every song that Anna Kendrick is singing is playing backward in time. And so you have kind of two different points of view of a relationship, one starting at the end of this relationship and one starting at the beginning, and kind of playing back and forth through that. And so you kind of get to piece together what actually happens. I believe this was actually based off of a musical, or a New York, let's see, yeah, I believe it's based off of the actual like musical, that it was like a stage musical. But highly recommend checking this out. It's some great music too in it, which I'm not a huge musical fan, but I really like that one. The next one I wanted to talk about is the film Lost in Translation. Now, I have to admit that it's been a couple years since I've seen this movie, but it is one of those movies that I feel like will pop up on a lot of romance lists, where essentially Bill Murray, his character is, I think he's an actor, and what's her name, Scarlett Johansson, are both in Tokyo, and so they both are in a foreign land that they don't know very well, and so they end up finding each other and kind of connecting. And but both characters know that they can't actually be with each other, and so you just kind of have this sad spark of a romance that they both know that won't actually last. And so I would pay so much money to find out exactly what was said at the very, very last scene, where Scarlett Johansson is whispering into Bill Murray's ear. But overall, I would say I really, really like this movie. And it's one of those kind of sad endings of a film, because both characters, again, they just don't know. But it reminds me a lot of the film Brief Encounter, where both characters just know that they can't actually end up together, but there is like a little spark there that they know they just can't fully act on. But the last one I wanted to talk about in this category, actually the last one that I wanted to talk about in this video, this is actually technically out of alphabetical order. I don't know if you'll notice that, but this is probably my fourth favorite movie of all time, and I've talked about this movie a ton throughout this channel, but I couldn't leave out the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Now, I consider this to be a sad ending. Again, you might be able to consider this a bittersweet ending, but it has a lot to do with erasing your memories. And so the whole movie plays out as Jim Carrey hires a company. This is set in the future, that he hires a company to come in and erase his memories of this of the girl, Kate Winslet, and so or Clementine, I guess, in the movie. But and whenever they're erasing his memories, it's kind of playing back their whole relationship, because they kind of start at the beginning of the relationship and just kind of work their way in his brain to the very end. And so it's a very sad movie, watching Jim Carrey desperately trying to hold on to his memories of her, because he realizes that he doesn't want to forget her. And that's kind of what's the bittersweetness of a relationship, is that you do have all these memories of your past significant other, but sometimes holding on to those, it can be painful, but it reminds you of who you were or how you grew as a person. And so the whole movie, it just plays out like that, where it's him realizing that he doesn't want to get rid of her, and it's sad. It's a very sad film, but at the very end, it left kind of an ambiguous ending as well, where you're not really sure if this has been happening over and over, or that they would get back together and would just repeat the same mistakes that they made in the relationship. But I kind of like that about the ending, that there's not really a true, a real, this is exactly how the characters will be interacting in the future. But it's written by Charlie Kaufman, which is probably my favorite writer within film. And so I cannot recommend that movie enough. If you've not seen it and you want a good honestly, a good cry, there's a sequence in there especially that every single time I watch it, I just get teary-eyed. But that is everything everything that I have for this video. Let me know in the comments about, are there any romance films that I missed that are your favorites? Are there any ones that you would, disagree with? If, say that this is a bittersweet ending and not a sad ending, or if, this is a happy ending, or, stuff like that. I'm very curious what you have to say. What are some of your favorites that I mentioned in this video? What do you like about them? So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope everybody out there has a great Valentine's Day, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.